Welcome to the All Eers podcast, powered by HD Media.
It's baseball week in the University City, and it is the newest edition of the All Eers podcast, and I'm your host, Taylor Kennedy. Thank you all for joining us. However you may be listening to us, you can find us on Spotify and Apple Podcasts. Link to those are in the description, along with all of our social media channels as well. But like I said, it's baseball week with a lot of implications in the University City up in Morgantown, as the West Virginia Mountaineers are hosting an NCAA regional for the first time since 2019, coming off a great stretch between the regular season and the conference tournament, making it all the way to the Big 12 championship game, and a lot going on in the University City. I've heard that there's a certain buzz throughout the streets in Morgantown, all the way from High Street to University Town Center up near Kendrick Family Ballpark. And one of the buzz is just the players just getting ready, getting amped up, and all that fun stuff. So let's get a player's perspective of what this week will look like leading into Friday's contest against Binghamton. And we are pleased to be joined by outfielder Paul Schoenfeld. Paul, welcome to the program.
How you doing, man?
My man, like I told you before, if I was any better, I'd be you. I mean, you got to be on on cloud nine right now, right?
Yeah, we're excited. Just getting that opportunity to host a regional and have all of our fans come watch us. I mean, it's going to be a fun weekend.
So obviously, knowing that you guys are going to be hosting the regional over the weekend, and now it being right around the middle of the week, and you guys obviously have a game to play on Friday, which we'll get to here shortly, but the emotions, you learn that you're hosting a regional just a couple of days ago. Then you get told who's in your region. Now, like I said, middle of the week now, trying to channel emotions now. What goes into that for you personally, and how are you and the guys responding after such a high over the weekend?
You just kind of have to take it day by day. Enjoy it. Don't let it, consume you. And just still, be yourself, live. It's just another week, and so, as preparation goes, practice, crisping things up, do short practices, but we get things done and we get rolling.
I mentioned that there seems to be a certain buzz up in Morgantown. Are you starting to feel that from a player's perspective, just seeing and feeling all the enthusiasm that is currently surrounding this Morgantown regional?
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. The locker room, we're super excited. Not having to hop on a plane to go somewhere feels pretty good too. So, the guys we're all stoked, being able to host again in front of our fans. And so, just that opportunity, we're going to come out and it's going to be a fun weekend.
That's an interesting perspective that you mentioned early on in that answer, because being able to sleep in your own bed whenever you go on the road or you're playing in a big tournament like the NCAA tournament, how much of a factor is that, just knowing that you're going to be able to sleep in your own room with your own bed, normal routine of an environment and an atmosphere that you're very familiar to? How much of a difference does that make from a player's perspective?
It's awesome. Just having familiarity around the town and stuff. And we're actually going to stay in a hotel during the weekend, just so, routines, going to bed at the same time, waking up at the same time, having breakfast together, going to the field together, just kind of getting the same routine, being with the guys. And also, just in case something happens somewhere else, we're all together. And so we are sleeping in our own bed is awesome, so during the week we get to do that, which is nice. Get to go home and relax and just enjoy time away. But yeah, we will stay in a hotel this week.
So I know. Sorry, go ahead.
No, if you're good. No, this weekend.
So when you talk about, I know I mentioned early on, channeling the emotions. Now, the other side of that is channeling the implications, the expectations that come along with that. Again, first time the West Virginia has been able to host a regional since 2019 under Coach Randy Mazey, trying to weigh the emotions with the expectations as well. What's your approach with that as a veteran player like you are?
Yeah, I've been in one super regional, 2 and 3 regionals. I've lost in the regionals 3 times in my college career now. So It's all just the same. Just the preparation each week, every single week is the same. You just kind of have a mentality of the next game is the most important game. And so just getting to that game and, playing your best and then moving on. So you can't really look forward to, playing UCLA the week after or going to the College World Series because you just got to look at the game ahead of you getting ahead.
I want to go back in time to whenever you were going through the recruiting process with WVU this past offseason. I know you were a transfer from Colorado Mesa, which we'll get to here shortly. But when Coach Sabins or whomever it was on his staff were recruiting you, was the intensity of potentially hosting a regional with the guys that they were bringing back, along with the guys that they were bringing in, was that ever brought up? And paralleling that, was the side of the fan support as well, one hosting a regional, but also having that fan support behind you. Was that ever brought up during the recruiting process?
Oh, absolutely. I mean, who doesn't want to go to a place with crazy obnoxious fans,
Yeah.
And so, and the guys, you want to play with guys that are used to winning and know how to win. Is hosting a regional and hosting, having a chance to host your super is always talked about in the recruiting process. As far as the fans, I mean, anywhere you go, you're going to have crazy fans, especially in Division I. You know what I mean? So,
when talking about your path to WVU, you started at a community college at Butler Community College. Then, like I've just mentioned, you went to Colorado Mesa University, obviously in Grand Junction, Colorado. Then you transferred to WVU this past offseason. What does this moment, what does this week, what does these last couple of weeks, I should say, mean for you being a fifth-year senior and just going out the way that you are right now with these guys?
Yeah, I mean, I don't know how much longer I get to play this game, and having the opportunity to having one scholarship or offer out of high school going to Butler into one offer after Butler with Mesa, and then having the time of my life at Mesa, and then to finding out I got a fifth year at a Division I and being able to just transfer here to West Virginia. It's truly remarkable, and just don't want to take things for granted. Absolutely blessed with the path that God's given me. And so, I mean, these last couple of weeks, it's just been, I don't know when my last game is. And so I'll play my hardest and I'll try to play my best, and I'll give everything I got, especially this program that's given me so much.
This group of guys that you will be going to war with, I know that's a sports term in a lot of ways, but going to battle, going to war with this group, what has this group meant to you, and what stands out to you about this core group of guys compared to other teams you've been able to play for?
Yeah, I've played with a ton of awesome and people and leaders throughout my college career, but this team are just a bunch of gritty guys that have so much fun playing, and just have that chip on all of our shoulders just because of where everybody's been. And so this team has a bunch of Division II guys, JUCO guys, and guys that came from places that you never even heard of. And so we all have that chip on our shoulder, and we like to work together, and we just stick so comfortably and easily.
You mentioned that chip on your shoulder, and I would assume in your brief time at West Virginia, you've been able to see and hear and just gather collections of stories and people reminiscing about people from the state of West Virginia that do have that chip on their shoulder, that blue-collar mentality, as you've probably heard countless times. How much pride do you take then? You mentioned the chip on your shoulder and your teammates' shoulders, but how much pride do you take on the flip side of that, being able to play for a state, play for a fan base, a university, a community even, that also takes on that chip on their shoulder as well?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, when we lose, the whole town loses, the whole state loses. So, I mean, everybody just feels, has an effect on the winning and losing side. And so when we win, there's 1.3 million of us or whatever it is, we all get to celebrate, and vice versa, So just having the support from a bunch of people. Like yesterday with the selection show, the place we went to was packed full of people, and it's just looking around, it's like, wow, all these people care, and they'll come watch our games and they'll support us till the end.
Has anybody told you the history of this program? And what I mean by that is, with where this program was before 2010, even between like 2000 and 2010, a lot of people didn't think that WVU's baseball program would amount to this. And then insert Randy Mazey in 2013, he has the success that he does. Obviously, again, like I said, 2019 hosting a regional, now under second-year coach Steve Saban's first time since then hosting a regional. Has anybody told you the history and just the lineage of that this program has taken on? I mean, even dating back to 96, whenever they were an unstoppable group in Morgantown. I mean, the history of this program, the tradition of it as well. When you listen to that, when you hear stories about the past, now trying to rewrite the future now, what goes into that for you, and how much of that do you kind of put on your shoulder and put that weight on your shoulder as well?
Yeah. A couple weeks ago, I actually got to go fishing with Coach Mazey, and we got to talk about all the different teams he had, and just hearing him say, and like when he came in, just how unorganized and how bad they were, and like the expectations were just so low. Like going to a conference tournament and going to just a tournament in general was never in the picture. And so, I mean, obviously, I haven't heard any or much stories about, in the 90s, but just what Randy Mazey did for this town and this community is just truly remarkable. I remember watching a couple of years ago with J.J. Weatherholt and them playing in North Carolina, and that was the first time I've ever really watched West Virginia play baseball, and I was like, wow, these boys are pretty good. And so just coming into a program that's already been built it's a huge blessing.
Absolutely. We're talking with outfielder Paul Schoenfeld here on the All Eers podcast. We're going to take a quick break. We're going to continue our conversation with Paul. We'll talk more about his game this season, and especially transferring to Morgantown this offseason. So quick break here, and we'll be back here on the All Eers podcast.
HD Media Sports is your one-stop destination for top high school and college sports coverage in the Mountain State. From Morgantown to Mingo County, our award-winning reporters keep you informed about your favorite teams and players, including exclusive coverage of the Marshall Thundering Herd and the West Virginia Mountaineers. Follow HD Media Sports on Facebook to stay up to date on the latest news, features, and game coverage.
As the game gets faster, stronger, more dynamic, your equipment has to keep up. Introducing the Riddell Axiom, the next evolution in football protection, designed to match the speed and strength of today's athlete. Contact West Virginia Riddell representative Casey Turley at 304-552-5960. Gear up, play smart, stay protected.
Welcome back into the second segment of the All Eers podcast. We're talking with outfielder Paul Schoenfeld. And Paul, talk to me a little about your game this season. I know right now you're sitting second on the team in batting average. You're batting right around .350. You have an on-base slugging percentage of about .962. You've started in all 53 games that you've played in, 206 at-bats, 72 hits, 42 runs, 17 doubles. I mean, you can go down the list, three home runs, 43 RBIs. Assess your game. Through this point, through 53 games, how would you assess your game to this point?
I honestly haven't given it much thought, but being able to start 53 games, first off, is just a blessing, and it's truly an honor to have that opportunity. And I think, I know I go out there and give my all and win for this team. But yeah, just trying to just have consistent at bats, have quality at bats, and they've shown up for me. And I've been playing well, but you could play well all season, but what really matters, especially next week and hopefully following weeks. So just continue to be consistent and win for this team and do a job.
In regards to having a reset, and what I mean by a reset is you go through some strenuous weeks where you're playing 5 to 6 games a week sometimes. Obviously, you'll have some weekend series thrown in the mix with a midweek game thrown in there as well. From a reset perspective, whenever you do get a stretch where, like what you're in right now, you all haven't played since Saturday in the Big 12 championship game against Kansas. You'll have Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. Then you'll play Friday. So what goes into a reset, like what you guys are going through right now? Maybe from a physical perspective, an emotional perspective, and a mental perspective. How do those 3 things line up, and how do you go about approaching a week like this?
Yeah, well, you have to get away from the game. I do, just to be mental reset. And so a day like Sunday, it was travel. You get back and you just relax. The whole week you're trying to eat, and continue to eat, and good foods. But days like yesterday, just get your body going. So if that's a light lift, or, stretching or whatnot, just get your body moving. And then today was a day of heavier practice, get the body sweating, and just get back to fundamentals, working on some things with the swing, getting your defensive work in. And then tomorrow will be a lighter lift or a lighter day, just getting what you need in and getting out. And then Thursday would be our day before game workout. So defense, everything is as a team defense, and then getting your swings in, getting yourself in a good spot just to go perform for the weekend.
Talk to me about your path to West Virginia University. You played 3 seasons, like we mentioned, at Colorado Mesa. You hit 400 with 16 home runs, 108 RBIs, and 156 runs scored. What led you to choosing the Mountaineers, and what were you looking for during the process to say, okay, this is where I want to go next in my baseball journey?
Yeah, so being at Mesa was the best 3 years of my life. If I had the opportunity to go back, I would have, absolutely. But when I had my exit meeting with my coach back there, we talked about he had connections with West Virginia and other schools as well. But when I was able to talk to Coach Rosinger, the only thing, we really talked about was just hitting philosophy, and what they teach and how they go about practices and how they go about games. And I just wanted to know, like, how they ran things and how they run things here as a winning program. And that's what I wanted to be a part of. They taught the same things, like philosophy-wise, hitting and defensively, and just stuff like that too. So everything just meshed well from going from Mesa into West Virginia. And that's all I was really looking for, was a place to where I know I can go and be comfortable with the language they teach and just the things they say. I knew I could be comfortable here, and I have been since day one.
I know oftentimes I ask this questions to athletes whenever they do transfer from one place to another. How important were the relationships? And what I mean by relationships, everyone from Coach Steve Saban's all the way down to the water boy. I mean, how important were the relationships during the recruiting process whenever you were in the transfer portal?
Oh, absolutely. I mean, being able to have a normal conversation with somebody is very important, and feel like, the conversation's not awkward or, tight, or, you're just not understanding stuff. So just having a simple conversation and just being able to carry a conversation with Sabes at the first time he called me was awesome. And so that always starts well with a relationship. And so moving down the totem pole with everybody, like, everybody just clicks together. Everybody's united as one here. And so everybody's on the same page. Everybody knows what they need to do for that day or that week or whatever. And so it just makes things here run super smoothly. And coming to a new school like that, I mean, it's really easy on my part.
You mentioned Coach Saban's, and I want to ask you about him because, just talking with him, he's such a baseball guy. And what I mean by that is he's just so insightful with the ins and outs of baseball, everything down to a T. And my question to you is, what stands out to you about Coach Sabins that stands out to you about who he is as a person, but also who he is as a coach compared to other guys you've played for in college?
The guy's a motivator. The guy motivates you to be the best version of yourself every single day. And you don't hear that often from coaching staffs, and so the guy is always positive. There's always something good out of his mouth, and he motivates you and drives you to be better. And so those are the three things that will always stick with our relationship and how I view Sabes. And so I couldn't have asked for a better coach.
I think this is going to probably be a silly question just from a baseball perspective, but I'll ask it anyway. Do you prefer your appearances at the plate more, or do you enjoy catching a fly ball or having the play that you did against TCU in that regular season finale whenever you're making those diving catches out in center field? What do you prefer more, offense, defense? Which one?
Defense. I could sit out there and go run down balls all day. It's just something I love doing. And then I'm not saying something because I love hitting, and so I love mashing. But defense is my spot. There's just something about having that view from center, looking at everybody. It's just something you can't beat.
So, what goes into an at bat for you? Are you focusing more on how the pitcher's dealing? Is it more of your mental approach at the plate? What goes into an at bat for Paul Schoenfeld?
Yeah, just trying to be as simple as possible. Trying to be short, be smooth, and just see ball. Obviously, we have approaches with different pitchers, and so if a guy's riding a ball, we need to just get on top a little bit better. If a guy throws a lot of junk into the ground, we're gonna, not swing at anything, hip down or whatever. So just learning zones, and then go from there and just see ball, hit ball.
Talking about your game, what's the biggest difference in your game from dating back to your time at Butler Community College to where you are now with your 54th game coming up on Friday with the Mountaineers? What's the biggest growth? What's the biggest difference in your game?
Oh, gosh. Biggest growth will probably be offensively. I learned kind of what my identity is. And then the thing that I've always had is my defense. That's always been part of my game. And it's been really nice proving to teams that, hey, I could play out here and I enjoy it. And I'll go get any ball and run into a fence.
Couple more for you, and we appreciate your time. We're talking to Paul Schoenfeld, outfielder for the Mountaineer baseball team, coming up on a Morgantown regional at Kendrick Family Ballpark on Friday against Binghamton. So for you guys to put some wins together and potentially play in the NCAA Super Regionals coming up next week, what's going to have to happen for you guys to put some wins together? Because again, this is a loaded region. You're playing a Binghamton team that's collected some really quality wins throughout the course of this season, but then on the other side as well, the 2 and 3 matchup between Kentucky and Wake Forest, this is a very loaded region. So talk to me about what's it going to take for you all to collect some wins and get through your all's regional to potentially play whoever comes out of that Los Angeles regional. What goes into that and what needs to happen?
Just got to focus on Friday. That's the first step. We focus on having quality at-bats, and quality pitches, and then a tough defense. And so we do that. We put ourselves at a good chance of winning. And we just need to have fun and just play our game. That's the biggest thing, is continue to play our game. And we should be all right.
A couple more for you, and we appreciate your time. Looking at the crowd that everyone should be expecting, I'm expecting probably a record-setting crowd on Friday. Again, first time since 2019, the Mountaineers have hosted a home regional in Morgantown. What has it meant for you being a fifth year, playing in front of a passionate fan base like West Virginia, and also just kind of give me your picture or your expectation for Friday's opener in the game 1 of the Morgantown Regional.
Well, last time we had a crowd this big. We got beat 23-1 or whatever it was against Pitt.
We won't talk about that.
So, the boy, we're all fired up because we don't want to do that again, especially in front of our fans. And so, having all these fans to support is the biggest thing, and then paying money to come see us play is such a blessing. And so, this week, just preparing and just trying to put on a show for them. That's just the biggest thing.
And then finally, looking at this club that you guys are playing for right now with West Virginia and the guys that you've been able to create relationships with and create everlasting friendships with as well, who's a guy in your mind that has stood out to you as maybe not the dude, but has proven that he can compete with just about anybody in the country?
On our team?
Yeah.
Oh, gosh. I mean, I could name all 30 of us or whatever. I mean, we all compete well. Obviously, Gavin. Gavin's such a stud. The kid can ball out. And he's just a great teammate. He wants to win, and he's a very humble guy. And then a ton of guys like you go down the line. Matty Inish as a sophomore, how mature that kid is for a sophomore. Shouldn't be real. That kid puts together the best at bats I've ever seen, and plays unbelievable shortstop. And then like Tyrus Hall, I mean, that guy's, you want to talk about defensive studs right there. That guy can make any play. And so we could go through our whole team, but we could compete with anybody in Division I.
Well, Paul, we appreciate your time as always. Good luck to you guys on Friday against Binghamton in the first round of the NCAA regionals. And you guys will obviously play the winner of either Kentucky or Wake Forest, who will play at noon on Friday inside Kendrick Family Ballpark. So again, good luck to you all and wish you guys nothing but the best moving forward.
I appreciate it, man. Thank you so much.
Absolutely. There he is, Paul Schoenfeld, outfielder for the Mountaineer baseball program. Again, the Mountaineers will take on Binghamton coming up on Friday at 5 p.m. inside Kendrick Family Ballpark for the Morgantown Regional. Break to take here. We'll be joined by former Charleston Gazette-Mail sports editor Mitch Vingle on the latest edition of Vingle's Views, and we'll talk about the history of Mountaineer baseball, and we'll also talk about his recollections as well of this program. So you won't want to miss it here on the All Ears podcast.
Oh, good gravy. The kind made from real premium sausage. The kind that's smothered over deliciousness. The kind you can only get at Tudor's Biscuit World. That's the gravy that's oh so good. It's the perfect topping to your biscuits or your taters, and even makes a delicious side. It's oh so good gravy. Tudor's Biscuit World. We're dripping with oh good gravy.
HD Media Game Day is your streaming home for the best in live high school sports across West Virginia. Featuring football, basketball, soccer, and more, HD Media Game Day brings the action to you for free, exclusively on our YouTube channel and at hdmediagameday.com. When you can't make it to the game, HD Media Game Day has you covered.
Final segment here of the All Ears podcast. We appreciate outfielder Paul Schoenfeld for joining us in our last segments. And now we shift our attention now to Vingle's Views, this weekly edition. We talk each week with former Charleston Gazette-Mail sports editor and WVU beat writer Mitch Vingle. And Mitch, welcome back to the program, my friend. I know it's going to be a very busy week, and I know with baseball, it's always a fun time, especially the first time that the baseball team's hosted a regional since 2019. So welcome back.
Yeah, thanks. Yeah, it's exciting. We've talked about the WVU women's basketball run, and how much the fans responded to that, and we're definitely seeing the same with baseball this year, because I don't know if you check the online ticket prices, but my goodness, they're skyrocketing, and it was just for standing room only tickets. So yeah, the passion's back for baseball, that's for sure.
Yeah, I did see that. I think they were like $170 or $172 or something like that for the standing room only. I mean, I was like, whoa.
Yeah.
But that also just tells you the volume that they sold too.
Yeah.
So, well, you kind of teased it there. I mean, we spoke a couple of weeks ago whenever we were talking about women's basketball and the growth that program has had under Mark Kellogg's watch, even under Mike Carey, dating back to Kitty Blakemore and all that fun stuff. But let's kind of take it from that similar angle, but let's shift our focus to baseball, because personally, obviously the history of the baseball program a little bit better than I do, but obviously everybody knows about the success that this program had back in '96, and then you get Randy Mazey into the program after a couple of years, and you're just like, maybe we still have a baseball team. I don't know. And then you bring Randy Mazey in 2013. Then a couple of years go by, they make the NCAA tournament, and then the following year they host a regionals, and then he retires in 24. And now you're like, okay, we got a national brand here. We're starting to build a national brand. And I'll be honest with you, Randy Mazey to me is the architect, or was the architect, for how this WVU baseball team is portrayed nowadays in a national light. Agree, disagree, your thoughts?
Oh yeah, absolutely. And when Oliver Luck got West Virginia into the Big 12, one of the things he knew he had to do, because the Big 12 at that time was even stronger than it is now, was to have that baseball stadium and a coach that knew how to navigate, the Big 12. So when Randy came in, of course, it took a few years to get it moving, but you could see the progress slowly but surely. And then, of course, he got that 2007, or got them into the regional in 2017, like you mentioned. But I think it was a combination of things. First, you get into the Big 12, which is historically has been a really, really good baseball league, and then you get the Kendrick Family Ballpark, instead of playing at Old Holly Field, and then you bring in Randy Mazey. I mean, it was just the perfect storm, and then it built on it, and then handed the baton to Steve Saban.
Yeah, I mean, I'm looking at the year by year results dating back to Randy Mazey's first season in 2013. The Mountaineers went 33-26 and 13. Then as follows moving forward: 28-26, 27-27. Then they actually kind of found a little bit more light in the 2016 season, going 36-22. Topped that off in 2017, 36-26. 18 was 29-27. Then that breakthrough year in 2019, going 38-22, hosting a regional. Did you go out for that regional game whenever they played Fordham, Duke, and Texas A&M?
No, I wasn't able to do that. But like you said, it's one of those things where they just have kept building and building. And 2023 Lexington, and then Tucson in 2024, right, for that region.
No, Chapel Hill. They went to Chapel Hill one year because they went to LSU last. No, yeah. So
okay.
They went to,
okay, that's right. That's right.
Yeah. So, okay. But regardless, though, I mean, you look at it, they've been to 4 consecutive regionals now at WVU, and they made the Super Regionals last year down in Baton Rouge and lost to LSU in 2 games. But I'll be honest with you, Mitch. You look at this, the significance of getting a home regional. We talked with Paul about this in one of our last segments, the importance of sleeping under your own roof or sleeping in an area that you're comfortable with, so your routine doesn't really change too much. Because I believe whenever they played in Lexington not too long ago, I believe they slept in dormitories in Lexington. And now Paul mentioned that they're going to be staying in a hotel in Morgantown, which is great. I mean, again, you're still in a familiar town and all that fun stuff. But the routine of it, to me, is going to be the X factor for how WVU plays. Because, and I know just from watching sports and covering sports, the routine of an athlete is so imperative, because when they get familiar with something, it's almost like they latch onto it like a bear with honey. And when they get to that point, and especially now playing in a very high stakes tournament, you got everything, every little detail matters. And I think hosting a regional and the significance of that, we'll talk a little bit about that here in a second, but just the routine of it is probably going to be the bigger aspect of this weekend that will help and maybe benefit the Mountaineers. Agreed?
Yeah, absolutely. And to go zoom bigger picture on what you're saying about getting comfortable and grabbing onto something. And now it seems like WVU is expecting to get in the NCAA tournament. They're getting comfortable with winning, and that becomes contagious, obviously. And, you look back in the days, I think Greg Van Zandt only had him, I think, in one tournament, NCAA tournament. Dale Ramsburg, for all the time he was around, God bless his soul, only, I think, got into 4. So lately, when you're looking at 2019, 2017, 2023, 2024, 2025, they've gotten used to it, just like you were talking about getting used to your routines and everything. Big picture, they're getting into that routine, which is really, really cool to see for the Mountaineers.
So along the lines of what we've kind of been talking about, the significance of this this event, this moment in time for this team and this season, the importance of hosting a regional. I know a couple of years ago in 2019, as we keep mentioning, was the last time the Mountaineers hosted a home regional in Morgantown. But now I think the investment and the contribution and the fan engagement has grown significantly since 2019. You just look at it, you've had multiple first round draft picks in the MLB, with Alek Manoah going to the Blue Jays. I believe he was first round 11th overall pick. Then you had J.J. Weatherholt, who was the 7th overall pick to the St. Louis Cardinals recently. So, and you've had guys filter in remaining rounds, but I think with what we'll see this weekend from a fan perspective, from an attendance perspective, and maybe even just from a merchandise and sales perspective, this is going to be one of the biggest weekends in Mountaineer sports history in a lot of different ways. And I think those 3 pillars are going to be the catalyst and that drives my statement. And I covered the game, unfortunately, when WVU lost 23-1 against Pitt about a month ago. And that was one of the bigger crowds that they had seen at Kendrick Family Ballpark this season. That was a rowdy crowd. Now, granted, you lost by 22 runs, but the flip side of that is that was just a sneak peek as to what those fans were wanting, and then they got it. And despite the ticket prices being as large as what it is, I don't think that's going to stop Mountaineer fans, quite frankly. And, Ren Baker talks frequently, I know he did in his press conference last week, about the local reinvestment, the local investment, the local economy when it comes to this sort of stuff. Because you look at it, men's and women's soccer hosted a regional in the NCAA tournament. The women's basketball team hosted games in Hope Coliseum back in March that you and I have talked about before. Now you add this, that's 4 different teams hosting in Morgantown, bringing in revenue, bringing in that dollar for the community. That also goes back into a broader perspective of a state economy. So I love the fact that Ren is very aware of that, and I love the fact that he talks about that as frequent as he does. And again, I'll reiterate, this weekend will be the final chapter of the 25-26 season in Morgantown with an event, because possibly, because you never know what's going to happen up over in Los Angeles, possibly. Regardless, this is going to be an important weekend from those pillars I mentioned: fan engagement, revenue, and also just the economy in general. And I think this will be a really fun weekend for people to come out, watch this team, watch 3 other good ball clubs as well. And I'm excited. What are your thoughts on on that? I know I kind of spieled there for a little bit, but I'm interested in your perspective.
Yeah, well, I could tell you, I was texting, not to name drop, but I was texting Ken Kendrick, who owns the Arizona Diamondbacks, the other day. And, of course, the the ballpark is named after him and his family. And I can promise you, he's very, very excited about what's happening with the baseball team. And, you know, and to kind of play off what you were talking about earlier, you mentioned the draft picks, you know, the Manoah, you know, and JJ Weatherly and all that, and or Weatherholt, and you look at the amount of MLB draft picks that it's really picked up, you know, since Randy Mazey came around. Back in the day, you might have a little spurt here and there, but it was nowhere. You know, 2019, I think they had 7 guys drafted. You know, this past year you had 5. In 2024, you had 5, and not only draft picks, but you know, high draft picks.
Mm-hmm.
And I think all of this is feathering in, you know, to give the Mountaineer fans something to really, really cheer about. I mean, Mountaineer fans are very savvy when it comes to athletics, and they know when you have good teams, and they know when you have good players. So they can recognize, you know, the top flight players. And so that's when you show that to them, you know, it's a reason to get excited, and I'm excited to watch them.
So from the fan going to the fan expectation, I know you and I both attended those games, those NCAA tournament games inside Hope Coliseum whenever WVU played Miami of Ohio and Kentucky. What are your expectations in regards to the rowdiness that people should expect nationally from Mountaineer Nation whenever they do pack into Kendrick Family Ballpark?
Oh yeah, I mean, it's going to be loud. It's like I said, it's really neat to see, you know, the passion not only for football and basketball, but for women's basketball, for baseball. It will be loud. I can promise you that. Mountaineer fans love to, and in a way, you think about it, because football's been down, basketball's been down. This is a way to release, you know.
Yeah.
Kind of cathartic in a way. So I think it's definitely going to be a loud Kendrick Family Ballpark, that's for sure.
How much credit do you think Ren Baker gets, him and his staff get, in regards to the consistent reinvestment into programs? I know late last year, actually right around the time that he earned his contract extension or signed his contract extension, I believe was whenever they announced that they were adding over 140 scholarships to the Olympic sports. Now, I'm not saying baseball's one of those sports necessarily, but if you just think about it, it even dates back to Oliver Luck, like you mentioned, and Shane Lyons kind of inherited some of that. But I think more so with Ren, because just from a financial and a fiscal perspective, I think he gets it a little bit more, and I think he's having to adjust a lot more, if that makes sense. But
yeah,
along that line, how much credit does he get just in the consistent reinvestment, whether it be baseball or men's and women's soccer, rifling, swimming and diving, track and field, cross country? It doesn't matter what sport it is. From a complete picture of what he's done at WVU, now with baseball's national prominence continuing to rise, how much credit does he and his staff get for where this baseball team is at, despite where football and men's basketball currently sit?
Yeah. Well, I think you kind of have to split it up. I think, like I said, you got to go back to Oliver and putting together the ballpark. Shane Lyons, I mean, he was a big Olympic sport guy, if you remember, and he did a lot with facilities. But I think Ren's picked up from there for sure and is enhancing it as we go along. I think it's going to be interesting to see what happens, you know, in the NIL era. Is he going to be able to sustain all the additions and everything with the rising cost of football and basketball players? And I hope so. But it's been cool to see how you've gone from this to this to this, and Ren Baker's, you know, picked up the reins and run with it.
One final question for you. I'll get your prediction. So you look at it, you got West Virginia's the top seed in that regional, Kentucky's the 2, Wake Forest is the 3, and then Binghamton, who is West Virginia's first round matchup, is the 4 seed. So from a non-biased perspective, give me your take. Who comes out victorious in that regional?
Well, I think West Virginia does, but there's that Kentucky thing, and I don't like that. I think it should be West Virginia and Wake, in my opinion. If West Virginia just gets kind of ticked off at the Kentucky thing, if they have to face them, I think they'll be fine. And I think it'll come down to West Virginia and Wake, and I think the Mountaineers win this.
I like it. Now, let me ask you this, though. Follow up with that before I let you go. Does WVU suffer a loss at any point in this regional? Because it is double elimination.
Yeah.
Ooh.
Yes.
You think it's a Kentucky one, don't you?
Yeah, I daggone it. Yeah. it just really bugs me. Yeah.
I think they sweep the whole thing. Personally, I think what they'll do is, I'm obviously over exaggerating this a little bit. I think what they do is if they were to play Kentucky in the second round, if WVU were to win in the first round over Binghamton, I think what they do is they bring in Mark Kellogg, and they say, "Mark, give the pregame speech," and Mark will probably say, "Give him hell."
There you go.
That sour taste in the mouth, losing by one inside Hope Coliseum. Yeah, I would love to see a little Mark Kellogg motivational speech leading into a second round game against Kentucky, or just whenever they would play Kentucky. You give me a Mark Kellogg pregame speech, man, I would run through a brick wall because I can already see how that would go.
That would be fun for sure. Excuse me. Yep.
Well, my friend, we appreciate your time as always. Thank you. Enjoy the weekend. Enjoy some Mountaineer baseball, and we'll chat with you here soon.
All right, buddy. Summer's here.
Yep.
Enjoy.
Absolutely. There he is. There he is, Mitch Vingle, former Charleston Gazette-Mail sports editor and WVU beat writer, Mitch Vingle. That'll do it for me, your host, Taylor Kennedy. We appreciate you all for listening. However you may be listening to us, you can find us on Spotify and Apple Podcasts, which with the links in the descriptions. You can also find us on all of our social media channels. All those links as well are is in the description as well. Again, that'll do it for us. Next week, we're going to be joined by the president of West Virginia University, Mr. Michael T. Benson. So again, subscribe to us, keep up to date with everything, and we'll see you all next week when we talk to Mr. President Michael T. Benson. See you all next week.
You have been listening to the All Ears Podcast, powered by HD Media.